Hello everyone, it's Diego here, and I welcome you to my art channel. If you have already seen my videos, I cannot thank you enough for watching them and for being here. And if you are new, welcome. I invite you to stay to the end of the video. I'll be sharing my journey doing my artwork and lots of tips and insights about portrait painting and oil painting in general. Today, I'm going to show you how I create a contemporary portrait with an abstract background. This painting is part of a collection of portraits, and my style is a fusion between the abstract language found in contemporary painting and my academic background. I've been on this quest of exploring the experience of portrait painting. Even though artists are never satisfied, I can say that I'm happy with my progress and the results I have achieved through painting portraits. Of course, that is what I want to share with you. In some compositions, I tend to detail the portrait more and take them towards a classic academic style of the 19th century. This style is characterized by realism or naturalism, where the intention is to represent with figurative language the real impression of the observer. The technique I use differs from hyperrealism in the fact that it's not necessary to render every piece and hair of the portrait, but rather to create a real impression, starting from a solid structure of the form, a solid understanding of gray values that represent the navigation of light in the portrait, and finally, a solid and rich use of colors. Technically, this translates into naturalism, where a simple but sophisticated language captures a real impression of the portrait. Now, let's get started with the painting process. The first step is inspiration. For this piece, I wanted to create a portrait of a girl with a proud expression and the neck slightly tilted upwards, and build an interesting composition with the face being the focal point. I sketched out my idea first. This is the result. As you can see, it's very rough, but it gives me a clear idea of the composition and color. As I was sketching, I had the idea of an emerging portrait with a sense of verticality or growth, and it's a good way to build the composition. I also had this idea, and actually it's the first time I tried it, to add a figurative element in a very primitive way so that they look as if they were abstract. By doing so, they help putting together the composition. You don't have to worry for the meaning. In this case, it has a particular meaning for me, but I leave that door open, that way it can mean something different to you. In that way, the experience of art is always subjective. So I drew the silhouette of what was originally a staircase, but it changed while I was advancing with the painting. As the painting progressed, it ended up being vital to land and fix the composition in the lower part and give a good triangular structure. Besides, I wanted to explore straight lines and flat colors, which is why I used the colors and shapes for the background. What really changed, and I really didn't know where I was going with, is the style of the face. As the sketch is pretty rough, I thought I could capture this roughness and expressivity of the sketch into the big painting, but I really couldn't. As I moved on and advanced with the portrait, I was more eager to keep rendering than to keep it rough. It was just an intuitive feeling, but nonetheless, it kept me smoothing and erasing hard edges when I had a session of defining more the features. This process pushed me to keep adding paint and achieve a stronger overall impression. So in that way, I went more in with my academic background knowledge. Regarding the background, I decided to divide it into two parts. The top half is white with a tint of yellowish, while the bottom half is transparent light blue with the staircase in silhouette. I used latex paint and transparencies to create an effect on the background where you have plain colors but you can still see the brushwork. The staircase was made with charcoal at first. Then in the next steps, I kept putting more fat into it, like a stand oil, in order to unify the composition. This is exactly like making a veladura, or in digital world, is like filtering an area of the painting. This is where the painting starts to come to life. In terms of the portrait, I went for a direct style of painting, focusing on large shapes of color and value to build the portrait without almost no blocking at all. This method is like a la prima. You start with the massive shapes of color and then keep adding bit by bit information. If you want more details on these steps, I invite you to see this 4-part video where I go through all the details of building an artwork, including sketch, composition, blocking, and the painting itself. I leave that in here. From there, I focused on capturing the girl's facial features and expression. This was particularly difficult because I am a pretty rough painter, and rendering soft features of girls is always a challenge for me. But that is when I learned the most, so I went for it. As you can see, in 900% of the process, I think it doesn't look, quote, beautiful, because it's so damn hard for me to get the softness of the features. But I know myself, so I know that if I keep pushing, I will get them right. Plus, being a rough painter helps always focus on bigger things, so I don't have to worry of not achieving a strong impression or not using enough paint to model the form. Actually, this is what achieves these particular classic effects of the style of the time, making the painting feel alive or as if it's coming out of the canvas. Now that the painting is starting to come together, it's important to make sure that the background and the portrait are balanced. I made sure that the colors and shapes in the background complemented the colors and shapes in the portrait. This creates a cohesive and harmonious composition. I also added some expressive brushstrokes in tallow turquoise, some red, purple, and skin tones to create a sense of movement and energy around the face. This is always done intuitively. As with any painting, the finishing touches are crucial, but honestly, I'm never satisfied. I'll probably be adding more details even though I'm uploading the video. I added some final details to the portrait, including highlights and more definition in the features. I also made some minor adjustments to the background to make sure everything was balanced and in harmony. And there you have it, a contemporary portrait with an abstract background. Thank you for watching my videos and joining me on this journey as I explore the world of painting. If you enjoy watching time-lapse videos of my painting process, learning about the technical aspects of oil painting, and hearing about the challenges and joys of being an artist, then please consider subscribing to my channel. As someone with a strong academic background in art, I love sharing my knowledge and helping others improve their skills. By subscribing, you'll never miss out on new videos and you'll be supporting my passion for art. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon.